We are all about showcasing authors and supporting authors to become authorpreneurs. Natalie McQueen and Becky Norwood of Spotlight Publishing bring to you their Authors Spotlight and expert interviews. Success as an author hinges around well-thought-out marketing, which begins the moment you put your pen to paper or begin to tap the keyboard. Their expertise guides their authors to become #1 bestsellers, yet it doesn't stop there. The book establishes expertise, builds a business, and opens the doors to being seen, being read, and then being paid for their knowledge. Listen to this informative interview by Spotlight Publishing with Natalie and Becky.
Anutza Bellisimo, it is so delightful to have you today. And I know we met some years ago.
2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we were working on an automated system for emailing and all kinds of stuff that we were working on at that time. But thank you for being with us today for our Author Spotlight interview.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I was excited to get to see you and talk to you again.
It's so awesome. So I'm Becky Norwood, and this is Natalie McQueen. We are with Spotlight on Your Business and Spotlight Publishing. It's all one company, but we kind of take it, your marketing to the next level and use publishing as a real tool for getting our message out to the world. So Anutza, you are with the Sammy Group, and
Yes.
You're also a best-selling author, which is
Yes.
why we invited you to this. And your book is called The Highly Effective Executive.
Correct.
So tell us about this book and what being an author has done, because I know you specialize in conflict resolution,
Yes.
stress management, and emotional intelligence skills, and you have workshops and lectures and all kinds of good stuff. So take it and explain to us why you wrote your book, what you do, and what your role is, and the purpose behind all this.
Sure. Thank you so much. So the Highly Effective Executive is based on the training program that is designed to reduce conflict, make a difference, and inspire action in organizations, in particular, a lot of the individuals or executives that I work with, but in management when it comes to training supervisors, in particular, for organizations. So really, the book was an opportunity for me to get my voice out there so that individuals could get a feel for the type or the style of work that I do. It was the opportunity to engage with individuals on a really simple, easy basis where they could get a hold of the book and see if it would be a good match for them. Because, typically when we talk about my subjects, in particular stress management, anger management, conflict resolution, it's not your most common topic. And,
But a necessary one.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of workplaces need that.
Yeah, and they do, and they realize that, but yet, it's very hush-hush. We don't want to talk about that unless, we're in private. And so I wanted something that would give the opportunity or the experience for someone to just get an idea of what it means to work with the Sammy Group and our perspective on this type of professional development. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I noticed that in your bio you sent over that you've worked with companies like Boeing and Raytheon and Honeywell, Western Tech, some major corporations going on.
Yes. And so it typically begins with an interest in corporate wellness and just a general vague type of, what can we do to include, something like this for our employees. And then they get to understand that really taking on the idea of stress management, working in an environment that enhances productivity is something that, they really want to discuss. And it becomes a friendly subject, becomes a friendly topic. So, the book makes it simple, but I love the book because a lot of people that I've worked with don't even know that that book is available. And when they find out, then it leads to this type of conversation of, oh, well, I didn't realize that, there were so many components to this type of training. What we want to do is help employees, help organizations, help their employees understand the power of their habits.
Mhm.
And there's typically, 5 common causes of organizational conflict, which I discuss inside the book. Number 1 being a difference in methods or people not understanding the priorities. And it really comes down to communication skills. And then number 2 being a competition for supremacy, really people that want to move up in the organization and don't really know how to go about it in a productive way. And then number 3 would be misunderstandings. And that's, again, our communication styles and interaction, interpersonal communication. Number 4, differences over their perceptions and values. So that comes up in culture. How do we address or, engage in the different types of cultures and the dynamics that we have working within us inside of that workplace? And then there's this sense of number 5, stubbornness or sensitivity.
Mhm.
So we certainly want to be sensitive to people's needs and address change in a productive way. And change management is something that used to be at a slower pace. In the corporate environment at work, it would be, someone would announce a change and, then we would talk about how to produce that change or bring that about. Now, change happens so quickly. It's the only thing that we can rely on. And how much change is what's really, it seems to stagnate and frustrate some people, because as we were discussing just a moment ago, change is happening so quickly now.
People don't like change. People are threatened by change. They get out of their comfort zones, or it pushes them out of their comfort zone. So absolutely.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that we discuss in the training, and it goes beyond the book, is that when you're working with change, what is always at the foundation of whether it's an early adapter or someone who does have trouble addressing change, it's a fear. A fear is at that foundation. We address the different types of fear. So a fear of humiliation, a fear of rejection, a fear of shame, or, things of this nature that will address and stop people, but they don't really know that that's what's happening.
They don't
So
get
if we can,
right. Yeah.
so if we can bring that to the forefront and help them understand to think greater than how they feel, that feeling of fear, because they're not really understanding that that's what's happening.
Sure. Do you feel like a lot of times in the workplace, people feeling that they're not being heard causes?
Yes, very much so. And that there's, in 2016, according to this study, there's approximately, at this point in 2016, when this study was done, 36,000 workplace assaults reported weekly.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. And that's due to people feeling that their needs are not being met, and so they become aggressive. Typically, the average individual who is driving to work ends up at work feeling stressed out, whether it's due to the fact that they have problems at home, or there's bills due, or there's more change at work. They don't know how to speak up for themselves or request that their needs be met. They're typically functioning under what we call chronic stress. Now, when you add chronic stress and fear, your average employee is coming to the workplace showing up in fight or flight. And think about how difficult it is to address someone and ask them to do something when they're defensive. Yeah. And they feel that, not only their job, their position, who they are as a person, their values are not being met or even cared for. Like you say, they don't feel heard.
Yeah, I see that a lot in my husband's company. He works for a major corporation, but there's so much change, and the stress that he feels every day of going to work, because I think that whoever they have in charge at this moment is not really addressing that. She just wants to make sure she does everything the headquarters says, but doesn't always stop to look at how it's affecting people that have been like for my husband, he's been in that industry since he was 17 years old.
Wow.
And now he's getting closer to retirement. And it almost feels like this shoving that goes on to reposition for the new ones coming in. And yet, if something breaks down with the equipment, if something goes on, who's the first one that they call? And, and nobody else can do it. Nobody knows how to do it. And yet he's not really, a lot of the older guys are not being honored for that wisdom that they have with those years of experience. And
Yes.
I've seen in the last 10 years, just a remarkable, there's no doing things together. There's no parties anymore. There's no fun times that
The personal touch and caring is disappearing.
that stuff
Yes.
happening. And he feels constantly threatened and stressed because they pretty much say, well, we're making room for the new guys. We're not if somebody retires, we're not replacing them. We're going to have the employee, the ones that do the floor work, be the ones that are in charge of this instead of the supervisors and the different department, the higher departments. And it's tough. It's I wish they would listen to something like this, because I think it could really improve the morale that we're seeing.
Speaking of that, so is your book geared for top CEOs of companies, or just the average worker, or who's your target market for this book?
So the title is The Highly Effective Executive, and what I want everyone to know is that they are an executive, whether they're high level or what we consider a lower level employee. Everyone is important and is a piece of this. So, a lot of individuals are taught not to think of themselves as executives, but taking on that type of responsibility and giving your employees that type of responsibility and letting them know that they matter and that they're valuable brings a different presence to the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So it does. And that's really what I work at, helping everyone understand, is that they are a part of this. And organizations who make everyone or engage everyone are the ones that we're looking to continue working for.
Right.
Like you said, there are so many opportunities. And I was just having this conversation with a client yesterday about how there's the difference between the workplace then and now. And it seemed that in the past, we really valued what we called journeymen. People who had the experience, people who would take you under their wing, people who would mentor you. And because of that competition for supremacy that's quickly disappearing, we don't see that in individuals any longer.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're not valued for it either. They're not recognized for that. Sometimes they see that it gets them problems. It creates problems for them when they try to help.
Very much, yeah.
It's almost like catch-22. If you do your best, then you're almost showing off and trying to take someone else's job. If you sit back, it's a hard choice to get in there and do your best, show what you can do, be part of the team, and not be a threat.
Yes, exactly. And there's these, what we call roots of individuals that tap into this type of behavior and leadership style. And, some of the traits are perseverance. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are really quick to give up nowadays because they feel they just don't matter.
Right.
They feel that it just doesn't matter how hard they work or how much they contribute.
There's not the same loyalty for companies as there used to be. A lot of times people would stay with the same company for their entire career. Mm-hmm. And now it's there's just this constant change. And how many different types of jobs do the young people take on? They'll move on to the next thing in the heartbeat rather than have that loyalty to a company.
Yes. And I think that is because of the deficit in both directions.
True.
And so something that I think is really important that we address inside of this work is our addictions to our electronic devices and how that removes that human experience.
Yes.
And I have had the opportunity, being a business owner, hiring individuals who really didn't understand even how to write an email without filling it up with acronyms.
Right.
We get that.
Right. And so there's this essence of vulnerability, inspiration, perseverance, that comes with the traits of individuals that you want inside of your organization, that you want to lead your people. And I think that if you can teach and allow safety in authenticity, teach empathy or emotional intelligence and vulnerability within this, what we call our corporate wellness box, there's a type of response that we begin to use and become accustomed with. And so that's what I wanted people to gain from the book, is whether or not they work with us, that they can gain the tools and the knowledge of just some really simple communication styles and techniques that give them a higher level of self-awareness.
Perfect.
Do you feel that your book opened doors for you?
I feel that my book gave me the opportunity to actually understand not only what I do better, but also give individuals the opportunity to understand the benefits of taking on this type of professional development training. Because we're taught to go out and learn, and then there is no follow-up. So one of the things that we find with the corporations and the organizations that we work with is that they invest in follow-up, because you can only retain so much information, so much knowledge in these 3-day workshops or 1-day workshop or these conferences and seminars. It's no longer enough just to know. Now you have to be.
Right.
And that's really my favorite part of this, is helping individuals understand how they can not just do it, but become it.
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah.
I like that.
We know that in just the online or the events that we attend, like weekend stuff. It feels like many of them feel like a fire hose, like, and you walk away thinking, I don't know if I learned anything. I'm so exhausted, and you learned it. It was a great event. It was a powerful event, but to
Yes.
take all that information that was given to you and assimilate it and put it to work is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And even around knowledge and education, there's still a fear of failure. Am I going to do it right? Will I be shamed or humiliated for trying it and no one else put an effort into it, but I tried it and I didn't, do it 100%, but I did it 50% and I was still made fun of, or, shamed or humiliated in front of my team when I actually put into place the things that they've actually taught me to use.
Yeah.
So
There's definitely a lot of fear and judgment and,
yes.
Stepping out.
Yes, and their fear of losing power, the authority that they have if they try something and it doesn't take the first time. That fear of, well, we tried it, it doesn't work. And so they don't continue the process. That's why I think it's so important that you really understand knowledge is fabulous. But if you can take one thing and apply it 10,000 times, that is called success right there.
That is very much success.
Right?
So we've really enjoyed this. Natalie had to step out. She had an appointment, but we've enjoyed this time with you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
We will put the link to your book in the comments below, and then we'll share it out so that you can also share it. And if there's,
Thank you.
I'm thinking it would be really cool to be able to refer you. So what's the best way, if somebody wanted to reach out, that maybe hears or was listening at this time, how will they contact you? Where do they look for? And we can think of some joint venture stuff that I'm thinking we can refer to you as well.
That sounds wonderful. So, of course, you can always go to the website, thesamigroup.com. That's TheSamigroup. And SAMI is the acronym for Stress and Anger Management Institute. So we find that the SAMI Group is just simpler. And so thesamigroup.com, and you can also find us on LinkedIn under the SAMI Group. But if you're wanting information and tips, always review the blog on our site. There's constant updates there to events which we have coming up, and workshops, and just free resources that people can use in order to start thinking along the shift of how can I be better, not just for my organization, my professional development, but also for myself. So it's not just about improving the organization, it's really about improving the whole person.
Is self-improvement. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. It's an honor to be able to have this time with you, and pleasure.
Thank you so much, Becky.
So thank
you.
For this time.
Have a great afternoon. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you. So we're stopped.
Authors hire Becky and Natalie of Spotlight Publishing for their guidance in treating their book as their business. Many authors have no idea where to start, how to market themselves, nor how to have a successful book launch reaching #1 bestseller. This often leads to discouragement and disappointment. Spotlight Publishing works with their authors to get seen, get read, and get paid for their knowledge and expertise. For more information, go to www.spotlightonyourbusiness.com. Spotlight Publishing. Your book is your business.